Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. Welcome to another video. This video is a book review of My Life and I, Confessions of an Unliberated Housewife, 1966 to 1980 by Betty Bendell. And I was very kindly sent this copy for review from the publisher, which is Handheld Press. Thank you, Handheld Press, for sending me a copy. I loved it. Little hint. Yeah, I absolutely enjoyed it so much and I can't wait to tell you all about it. But first, let me just whitter on a little bit about Handheld Press. So Handheld Press are an independent publisher based in Bath, or Bath, however you like to say it. I say Bath. And they republish a lot of work, but they also publish like new biographies about authors and things like that. And they're one of these publishers that are my favourites, just simply because I own such a small collection. Like, this is my collection of Handheld Press. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6. And the reason why I love the fact that I have a small collection from them is because there is something on their catalogue for everyone. Like, if someone said to me, oh, find a book for your dad on there, no problem. Find one for your brother, no problem. For my mum, no problem. I would literally be able to find a book for every member of my family, because there's something for everyone. There's some like that are very much kind of written and based during the war, about aviation. That would suit my dad and my brother no end. There's some comedy elements that would really work for my family and for me. Wonderful. There's biographies. There's snickles of romance sort of books in there as well, and there's literally something for everyone on their catalogue, so you should definitely go and check them out. And this is a release that is about to come out. I'll have the press release for it here. So it is due out on the 2nd of May 2023, but it is available to pre-order now. You can go onto their website, which I'll link in the description bar below, and you can go and pre-order it and it will wing its way to you. And I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a book that I think I actually might pass on to my mom afterwards, and she can enjoy it because I think she'd really love it too. Anyway, so what is this book about? So My Life and I is a collection of, I suppose, magazine columns. So Betty Bendell was an author and she wrote, a journalist, I'm not quite sure how you describe her, if she's an author or a journalist. She wrote the magazine columns during 60s, 70s, predominantly for Good Housekeeping and Family Circle. And these columns have been bound up in this book, and there's about 300 pages worth of these columns, 87 of these columns to be precise. And when I heard about this book, I thought I was going to really enjoy it. There's part of me that was a little bit worried because, you know me, I'm not a short story person whatsoever, but I love this. And I think the reason why I love this so much, and even if you're a short story person, I think you'll understand, is because sometimes you read a short story and it's way too long. It's like, no, it doesn't need to be this long. Or you read a short story and it's like, it's too short, there's like nothing to it. This collection is, every single one is just right. It's just long enough, or just short enough, and it's just sheer perfection. She absolutely nailed her art and got it down to a T, and it's wonderful. So, as I said, it's a collection of magazine columns, primarily from Family Housekeeping, Good Housekeeping and Family Circle. And the first one is from the 1960s. It's called My Dolly Rocking Days Are Over. It's from October of 1966. And we go all the way through 87 columns to get to With My Clipboard Underneath My Arm, and that is of May 1980. And the columns are about everyday life of a woman who is a housewife. So she is, she does some part-time work some of the time, but then she gives up her job at one point, she goes part-time, and she talks about the difficulties of being a wife, the difficulties of being a mother, the difficulties of being a woman. She talks about finding work. She talks about going to the supermarket, getting clothes to fit. She talks about dressmaking, everything that you can think of. There's even like bigger things that she talks about. So she talks about when they move from Britain to Canada. That's in there too. And it's just, what I love about this is it kind of feels like a novel. Like you really get to know, I want to say the character, but it's not the character, it's her. It's Betty Bendell. You really get to know her and her life and her family's life and what is she going through. And it's kind of like catching up with a friend, but it is literally like stepping back in time. It's literally a time portal. And I just loved it because I love books where it feels like you have literally just effortlessly stepped back into another era. I mean, I love history, let's be honest. I studied it, I love it. I'm surrounded by it. But I also love books that do it so effortlessly. Like it's not hard, it's just suddenly you're just poof and you're there. And I've been transported to the 60s and 70s and I absolutely loved and adored it. I love how honest she is because it feels very honest. I also love the nostalgia of some of it. I mean, I am a 90s baby, but some of the things I still thought, oh, I think I kind of remember that from like the early 90s sort of thing. Like some things were like still around, like Tupperware. Although, have you heard there is now a decline of Tupperware? And I think some newspaper were like blaming the lack of housewives or something. It was something like bizarre. But anyway, like Tupperware parties and stuff like that, that were very prevalent during this era, and Betty talks about. But I remember my mom having Tupperware parties in the 90s, and it's just that effortlessness of stepping back into another era that I love, and she does it with such ease and such wit. It kind of reminds me a bit like, probably going to sound a bit weird, but a bit like Jane Austen or Barbara Pym, you know, that wit, that ease of wit where it's very funny and it feels very natural, but I'm sure took a lot of creative effort and art to actually achieve. Excuse me. That is just the intelligence of the writing by Betty Bendell. I love it. I found it so funny. So funny, this collection. And me being me, what I did was I wrote a list. So this list, I went to town on this review, I can tell you this for now. So this list, I have numbered 1 all the way through to 87, okay? And so number 1, Dolly Rocking, for instance. I wrote a brief part of the title. Sometimes it's the full title. Sometimes if the title's quite long, it was just like a word or two. So for instance, number 1, and then something about it, I wrote fashionably funny, and I gave number 1 4 stars. And I did give every single 87 of them, ranked them out of 5 stars. So let me tell you, 1 stars, there was one. There was one story that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable in this collection. 2 stars, there was one that I thought was okay. 3 stars, so good, there was 24. 4 stars, really good, there were 50. And 5 stars, knocked me socks off, there were 11. So I think that's pretty good. Really enjoyed the collection, what can I say? I do want to share with you some snippets of the humour and what I thought were wonderful. I tabbed 3. I could have just gone and done a little bit of everything, but I decided to restrain myself to 3. There were like 5 tabs at one point and I was like, no, you're getting silly now. So let's just do 3. Okay, so this one is from number 4, Let's All Be Individuals. This is from Good Housekeeping, October of 1968. And I'm just gonna read you the actual very first little part of this. In the days when burnt orange meant failed marmalade, rather than a colour we all seem to have in our living rooms, I set out to buy a new stair carpet. All over Britain, people were treading their turkey red or leafy brown staircases. I wanted to be different. I do feel like, you know, Sex and the City, how Carrie narrates it, and I do feel like, did they read some Betty Bendell columns? Because it feels very Carrie from Sex and the City. That feels like something that she would say. Anyway, I love that burnt orange mint failed marmalade. I thought that was really funny. In this, it actually goes on to talk about the avocado green. I remember the avocado green because some lasted, didn't they? I thought that was very good. Another bit that I thought was very funny. This one is from number 7. Party time is here again. This is from Good Housekeeping again. This is December of 1968. And this is about a Christmas party that's taking place. Hence why it's in December. Our own parties tend to be family affairs. Nothing very racy happens, unless you include ancient aunts who mistake the advocate for custard and have to be helped upstairs. I remember having some advocate in the cupboard and I was like, Mum, what's this? It looks horrible. It does look horribly vile, doesn't it? And then, I loved this one. This one was number 20, Deeply Cleansed. This is again from Good Housekeeping, and this is August of 1970. And this is about Betty going through her makeup bag. And yeah, I just thought this was wonderfully written. There was just about every sort of cosmetic aid, ranging from 2 identical jars of Elizabeth Arden Featherlight Foundation, both waiting until my skin goes sport light again, to a mascara brush, so clogged it may well have been used at some stage for cleaning shoes. I thought that was wonderful. Yeah, I just loved it. It was just such a wonderful collection of stories that are just about the mundane, everyday life of a woman of the 1960s, 1970s. And yeah, I just found it very funny. It was very me and humour. My mum kind of calls this type of humour silly humour. If you're quite British in your humour style, so if you like things like Faulty Towers, Open All Hours, Only Fools and Horses, you know, those types of things. If you like that type of humour, you'll like this book because it's quite British in humour. It's very witty, but it's effortless, and I just loved it. Anyway, so that is my review of My Life and I by Betty Bendell. I will link Handel Press's shop website where you can go and purchase one for yourself. You can pre-order, even though it comes out on the 2nd of May 2023. Very exciting. Let me know if you're going to get your hands on a copy. Let me know what you thought of this review. And if you do go ahead and read it, let me know what you think of it. Either let me know in the comments or you can tag me on Instagram. So thank you so much for watching this video. Take care, and I shall see you soon for the next one. Bye for now.